Today, we're diving headfirst into a question that's generating a ton of buzz.
Definitely.
And it has major implications if you're in tech or even thinking about it.
Huge implications.
Will AI replace all developers? It's a real pressure point, you know? Lots of strong opinions flying around.
It truly is a spectrum. You hear these predictions of total AI coding dominance.
Right.
And then right next to that, people arguing, no, it's just another tool for developers.
It's hard to get a clear perspective sometimes.
Yeah, really tough to cut through the noise.
Exactly. And, well, that's our goal today. In this deep dive, we've sifted through a lot of information, insights from, respected voices in the tech space, actual data from this year, 2025.
Which is key, the recency.
And loads of observations from people really on the front lines in the industry now.
So we're trying to break down these different viewpoints.
Yep. And the data, what supports them, what challenges them.
Aiming to give you, the listener, a much sharper understanding of what's actually happening.
And where things might be heading.
Yeah. We're looking at some influential perspectives, people like Naval, Levels, Paul Graham.
Some big names.
And pairing that with some really revealing data points that have come out just this year.
So it's a mix, right? High-level thinking and, concrete evidence.
Exactly. Macro and micro.
You are listening to Merge Conflicts Real Dev Talk, where passionate developers tackle code, culture, and everything in between.
Okay, let's unpack this then, starting with the range of opinions. We've got some pretty definitive statements right off the bat.
Oh, yeah.
Naval Ravikant, he's usually optimistic, right? He argues AI won't replace programmers, it'll help them replace everyone else.
That's a bold take.
It is. Super confident.
He is suggesting, basically, that AI becomes this massive force multiplier for developers.
Right, letting them automate way more tasks beyond just coding.
Amplifying their impact across the whole company. It's a very empowering vision for developers, really.
Then on the flip side, you've got Levels with a much more pessimistic view.
Much more.
Stating directly, most tech jobs are a thing of the past with AI, to be honest. Stark.
Very stark. That paints a picture where AI just gets so good at generating code.
And handling development tasks.
That the need for, a large human developer workforce just plummets.
Widespread job displacement in tech. That's the implication.
Yeah, it speaks directly to that fear.
And then there's Paul Graham, kind of in the middle. Or maybe just acknowledging the chaos.
His take is characteristically pragmatic, isn't it? Almost nonchalant.
Yeah. We don't know. If you like coding, go for it. If not, don't.
It's like peak uncertainty right there.
It really reflects that genuine lack of certainty lots of people feel, I think.
Absolutely. He sees the transformative potential, sure, but he's also saying, hey, maybe just focus on whether you actually enjoy the work itself.
It's an honest admission, isn't it? The future isn't set in stone.
Not at all.
Right. So, okay, we have these strong initial opinions, Naval, Levels, PG.
Yeah.
And your first instinct might be to just pick one.
Sure. Find the one that fits your bias.
Yeah. But let's dive into the data from 2025, see what trends are actually emerging.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting.
It does. So one concerning trend we're definitely seeing, a significant drop in entry-level tech roles.
That's a big signal. A reduction there could mean, less need for junior devs, right?
If AI is handling more of the basic stuff.
Exactly. Foundational coding tasks.
Yeah.
That has real implications for how people get into the field.
What kind of entry-level tasks you reckon AI is grabbing?
Maybe generating boilerplate code, basic scripts, even some of the, automated testing setup.
Yeah.
Stuff that used to be bread and butter for juniors.
Makes sense. And the overall numbers seem to support this trend. Tech job postings.
Yeah.
They're down like 20 to 40% compared to previous years.
That's a big drop, a substantial contraction.
Yeah.
It definitely fits with the idea of potentially lower demand for developers overall.
But is it just AI?
That's the critical question, isn't it? Or are broader economic conditions, hiring freezes, budget cuts, playing a major role too? We need to be careful not to just blame AI for everything.
Good point. Okay, now let's look at AI's actual footprint. How much code is it really writing?
Right.
The CEO of Microsoft recently mentioned. This was quite striking. Around 30% of their code is now being written by AI.
30%.
And in a massive company like Microsoft, that's considerable.
It is, though. What kind of code is that likely to be? Probably not the core critical systems yet, I'd guess.
More like helper code, tooling,
Yeah, modular bits, repetitive elements, maybe internal tools, or just assisting with code completion within human written code. Not fully autonomous complex systems, probably.
Still, 30% is a lot. And the startup scene seems even more aggressive.
How so?
Y Combinator reported this year, get this, a quarter of their startups are using AI to write 95% of their code.
95%.
Almost entirely AI-driven, at least in those early stages.
Okay, wow. That raises questions, doesn't it?
Like what?
Like maintainability down the line,
Yeah.
long-term adaptability. If the AI wrote 95%, who understands it deeply enough to fix it or evolve it 5 years from now?
Yeah, that's a huge potential challenge for them. And we're also seeing the impact in, well, job losses.
The layoffs?
30,000 tech layoffs just in the first quarter of 2025. That's a significant number.
It definitely fuels the anxiety in the tech world, no question.
But again, is it direct AI replacement?
We have to be careful drawing that straight line. Was it explicitly AI replacing those roles? Or was it restructuring after overhiring? Economic pressures, often it's a mix.
True. And then there's this really striking observation about team efficiency.
Ah, yes, the three-person team stat.
Teams of just 3 developers are now reportedly shipping what used to take 10.
That's a massive productivity leap, like more than 3x.
Huge. So what's driving that? Is it just AI writing code faster?
It's likely more than that. AI tools helping, yes, but also maybe better collaboration platforms,
Yeah.
streamline processes. Maybe AI lets them focus on the really high-impact stuff.
So it's not just more code, but maybe smarter work.
Could be. Streamlining the whole development lifecycle, not just the coding part.
Okay. But right before we jump to conclusions about AI just shrinking the job market,
We need the counter-argument.
exactly. There's the idea that this dip in tech job postings, it might just be part of a wider economic slowdown.
Affecting lots of sectors, not just tech because of AI.
Right. We've seen economic wobbles lead to hiring freezes everywhere. Is the tech slowdown really out of proportion? Or does it track with general trends?
That's a critical piece of analysis that's often missing, comparing tech to other knowledge worker sectors.
And the layoffs, too. Some argue, look, many of these are just companies course correcting after hiring like crazy.
The post-pandemic boom correction.
Yeah, or just general economic anxiety making them trim budgets, not necessarily direct AI took my job scenarios.
Plus, there's still, a healthy dose of skepticism about how effectively AI is being used at scale in many places.
Lots of hype versus reality.
Understandably so. The potential is there, sure, but integrating it smoothly into massive, complex legacy systems, that's still a huge challenge. We need more proof beyond pilot projects.
And then there's this really wild contrarian prediction.
Ooh, which one?
The idea that actually in a few years, tech companies will regret relying so heavily on AI
Regret it? How?
that they'll be forced into massive rehiring of human developers
Rehiring. Why?
to fix all the problems the AI created. This prediction even suggests bankruptcies for companies that don't rehire.
Wow, okay, that's a dramatic swing back. What sort of problems are we talking about? AI created problems.
Could be subtle, critical bugs that are hard to trace, maybe nightmare scenarios with maintenance and updates, security holes.
Or just a lack of deep understanding of the business logic embedded in the AI code, making it brittle when things change. Yeah, I can see potential pitfalls.
So it feels like the truth is probably somewhere in the middle, doesn't it?
Almost certainly. AI probably won't wipe out all developers.
But it's definitely going to shake things up. It'll impact people who don't adapt.
Precisely. The conversation is shifting, isn't it? From replacement, yes or no, to how is the role changing?
Yeah, less focus on just banging out lines of code.
That seems less central now.
The emphasis is moving towards more like abstract system-level thinking,
Understanding the bigger picture, yeah. How all the pieces fit together.
not just the individual component you're working on.
Exactly. And the new crucial skills seem to be about, well, interacting with the AI effectively.
Prompt engineering, basically. But for code.
Sort of. Crafting precise commands, guiding the AI, integrating its output intelligently into the larger system, knowing its strengths and weaknesses.
And it's not just technical skills anymore, is it?
No, increasingly developers need to contribute more broadly. Product strategy input, thinking about cost implications, bringing real domain understanding.
Right, so the 10x developer of 2025. Maybe it's not one coding genius anymore.
Maybe it's a small, super effective team that knows how to leverage AI really well.
Amplifying their collective output and focusing on the harder, more strategic problems.
It's about smart collaboration, human-AI collaboration.
Now, even if AI is writing more code, there's this huge piece, human oversight.
Absolutely critical.
The argument goes, even if AI helps write it, humans still own the code. They're responsible.
That's vital. AI tools can refactor, generate tests, do amazing things, but they can also make weird changes or miss edge cases if no one's watching closely.
The buck still stops with the human engineer, ensuring reliability, correctness.
Yep. And then there's the slightly cynical view
Going.
that the big push for AI coding tools might be partly strategic for the vendors.
How so? Vendor lock-in.
Could be. If everyone builds their workflow around one specific AI platform, well, it makes it harder to switch later, doesn't it? Creates dependency.
That's a fair point. The more realistic scenario feels like
Yeah.
maybe AI handles, say, 90% of the code, Jen.
Yeah, the more routine stuff.
But that final 10%, the critical review, that
And-
still needs deep human expertise.
Especially for the really thorny issues like reliability, complex error handling, security.
That's where experienced engineers with deep domain knowledge are irreplaceable, right?
Totally. And AI might spit out code that looks okay, compiles fine.
But does it actually solve the real problem correctly? Does it handle the weird edge cases?
Without a human who truly understands the domain, the risk of subtle, nasty bugs slipping through is high.
And people argue AI still struggles with the really conceptual stuff.
Like what?
Designing good architecture, creating elegant abstractions, planning for strategic code reuse, things that require foresight.
Absolutely. Those need creativity, long-term thinking about maintainability, scalability, qualities current AI largely lacks.
So measuring AI's impact just by lines of code written, that misses the most valuable part of engineering.
It really does. It overlooks the strategic architectural contribution.
It's interesting, though, despite all this talk about AI coding, we haven't seen many rigorous, independent comparisons. AI-generated projects versus human-led teams using AI tools head-to-head.
That's true. There's a real lack of robust public evidence. It makes it hard to objectively assess how effective it really is in practice. We're often relying on anecdotes or vendor claims.
And that lack of hard data leaves big questions unanswered, doesn't it?
Like long-term maintainability. How easy is this AI code to adapt when requirements change?
And crucially, security. Is it introducing new vulnerabilities we haven't even thought of?
These are major unknowns. Software isn't static. It has to evolve. Can AI-generated code handle that gracefully and securely? We need more data.
Someone also pointed out maybe calling some tech figures most trusted voices is a bit strong for parts of the community.
That's fair. Perspectives on thought leaders always vary, right? And it's smart to consider potential biases or motivations behind any big prediction, especially in a field moving this fast.
Good point. Okay, thinking short-term versus long-term.
Right.
AI seems great for whipping up MVPs, right?
Yeah.
Getting that first version out fast.
Definitely speeds up that initial phase.
But the concerns are about scaling it up, making it maintainable, testing it thoroughly. That's where limitations might appear.
Which could mean, after an initial efficiency boost using AI, we might actually see a renewed demand for experienced engineers later.
To handle the complexity AI alone can't manage.
Plausibly, building a robust, scalable, secure product is way harder than just generating initial code. That needs deep human expertise.
And there's that other long-term worry. If AI does take over mostly junior tasks.
What happens to the talent pipeline?
Exactly. Fewer entry-level roles means fewer people getting that crucial foundational experience. Could lead to a shortage of senior devs down the road.
That's a potentially huge consequence for the industry's future, severely impacting how we train the next generation.
And what about the productivity claims? We hear AI enables 3x productivity, teams doing way more with less.
Yeah, the 3 doing the work of 10 idea.
But do the overall economic numbers actually reflect that kind of massive jump in output right now?
That's a good question. There seems to be a disconnect sometimes between the hype around AI productivity gains and what we're seeing in broader economic trends. The numbers don't always seem to add up.
It's also really important to clarify what we mean by AI-written code, isn't it?
Hugely important distinction.
When we hear high percentages, it's probably not AI coding in a vacuum.
No, it almost certainly means engineers using AI tools, like Copilot or others, making decisions about the suggestions, guiding the process.
It's human-AI collaboration, not autonomous AI developers.
That's the reality today. Humans are still firmly in the driver's seat, leveraging AI as a powerful assistant, but retaining control and responsibility.
And this shift, it could make things tougher for newcomers.
Right, potentially, yeah. If basic coding is less valued, the entry barrier might rise.
But maybe it makes the work more interesting for experienced devs.
Could do. Less drudgery, more focus on complex problems, design, and effectively using these powerful new tools. They become even more valuable if they can master that interaction.
Stepping back for a wider view, there's this idea that companies need to think bigger than just basic automation.
Right. Just using AI to do the same old things slightly faster isn't the real win.
The goal should be finding genuinely new, valuable applications enabled by AI, real innovation.
Absolutely. That's where the transformative potential lies, creating solutions that simply weren't possible before.
And AI definitely helps with experimentation, doesn't it?
Oh, massively. Reducing the time and cost to go from 0 to 1, from idea to working prototype.
That speed lets businesses try more things, iterate faster, maybe disrupt markets.
It's a significant potential advantage for sure.
But there's still that skepticism around the big PR claims from tech leaders about AI code generation.
Especially when those claims sometimes seem to clash with what engineers inside those companies are actually experiencing.
And they often lack detail, right? Like how good is the code, how reliable, how secure.
Exactly. We need to look past the marketing and focus on the tangible quality and long-term viability. That's what ultimately matters.
And it's worth repeating, many recent tech layoffs. Probably more about overhiring and economic jitters than just AI replacing people directly.
That context is crucial. Attributing everything to AI is an oversimplification. Macroeconomics and company strategy are huge factors.
We also can't ignore the governance aspect.
The need for guardrails around AI. Absolutely.
Without proper oversight and ethical frameworks, there's real potential for misuse or unintended harm.
Responsible development and deployment are becoming paramount as AI gets baked into more critical systems.
And some argue, look, maybe a lot of the code AI is generating now isn't actually adding that much real value compared to what an experienced human can do.
That perspective suggests AI is good at volume, maybe, but limited in its ability to solve complex, nuanced problems or drive true innovation yet.
So ultimately, it really feels like an evolution of the developer role, not an elimination.
Yeah, that seems the most likely path. Focus shifts to higher-level problem-solving, strategy, oversight, adaptability becomes key.
Developers who embrace AI as a tool, adapt their skills, they'll be the ones who thrive.
Focusing on the strategic, creative review aspects, that's where the value will increasingly lie.
And it's been noted AI is helpful if implemented well.
But it still needs human intelligence for sense-making, right? And rigorous verification.
Trust but verify, especially with AI code. Human expertise is still essential to ensure quality and integrity.
Definitely.
There's even buzz about a potential market correction,
Oh, yeah.
where we'll need more human experts specifically to maintain and fix all the AI-generated code out there.
Huh. The cleanup crew. It's a pattern we've seen before with automation waves, hasn't it? New tech creates new kinds of problems that need human intervention.
And we're already hearing anecdotes, right? Devs spending ages fixing weird messes created by AI coding tools.
Those real-world stories highlight the current limits. AI isn't magic. It still needs skilled humans to manage it and solve problems.
So maybe a good way to put it is AI is upgrading the job description, not stealing the job itself.
That's a neat way to frame it. The core need for software development isn't vanishing, but how it's done and what skills are needed are definitely changing. Big time.
There's even that slightly jokey but maybe serious prediction
Uh-oh.
of widespread security vulnerabilities cropping up in AI-built apps.
That's a genuine concern. If AI code isn't built with security best practices baked in or introduces subtle flaws, it could create massive risks down the line.
Yeah. But ultimately, the core counter-argument always comes back. AI is a tool,
An efficiency tool, an enablement tool.
not a replacement for fundamental skills, logical reasoning, deep understanding of the system.
Exactly. You still need engineers who truly understand the code base, the architecture, the why behind it all. AI augments that. It doesn't replace it.
So, okay, let's try to wrap up this deep dive. The future for developers in the age of AI, it's complex, still unfolding,
Definitely not a simple yes or no to replacement. It's a profound evolution of the role.
and the skills needed.
We've looked at a whole spectrum of views.
Right.
Optimistic, pessimistic, pragmatic.
And the data presents a really nuanced picture, points supporting different angles. Hopefully we've hit on some surprising facts, maybe some aha moments for you listening.
And the big takeaway feels like, well, the absolute need for continuous learning, adaptability.
If you're a developer, you've got to stay ahead of this, right?
Right.
Understand how to work with AI tools effectively.
And really focus on developing those higher level strategic uniquely human skills. That's crucial for thriving.
Absolutely. The ability to keep learning, embrace new ways of working. That's the key.
Essential for navigating this whole transformation.
So as you think about all this, maybe shift the question, not just if AI will replace developers.
But how do my skills need to evolve? How does my approach need to adapt?
Yeah. What are the specific ways AI is being used right now in real workflows? What are the best practices emerging for that human-AI collaboration?
That's the stuff to explore further on your own.
It's about proactively engaging with these changes, really, shaping your own future in this landscape.
Exactly. It's moving fast, but it's not necessarily a future to fear if you're willing to adapt and learn.